In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, I'd like to show you how to use the new tool in the Mask Designer for PowerDirector 19 or PowerDirector 365 released September 2020. It's called the Vertex Selection Mask, and it really improves your ability to do some great masking in CyberLink PowerDirector. I'd like first of all to show you a short, somewhat finished clip showing this particular technique. And what we're going to do is show you what happens when we take the mask that we create by using the face of this young man, and then we superimpose it above a flag. So look at that for a few seconds, and then we'll show you how to use this new tool. First thing we're going to do is take our background video and put that on track number 1. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to take my other video with the man's face. Now you notice I already have a title and a music clip on track number 3. We're not going to use that in this particular tutorial. But I will take this and drag this to track 2. And I'm only going to use part of it where I actually see his face and it's relatively stable in the scene. It doesn't move up or down. The camera's pretty locked on him. The best way to use this is when the item that you mask doesn't rotate, doesn't move closer or farther away from the camera. So that's what we're going to attempt in this particular tutorial. I'm going to start about 6 seconds and 23 frames into the project. So I need my Mask Designer. I'll click on the Tools. Then I'll click on Mask Designer. And we're going to mask the young man's face. We're going to be using a new tool, the 4th icon from the left, the first one on the right, called the Vertex Selection Mask. Now the best way to do the masking is to do it very carefully and very precisely. So I'm going to give myself as much real estate as I possibly can. We're actually going to enlarge his face as much as possible. Now to begin the mask, you simply click on the Vertex tool. And now I also see the flag. I don't want to see that. That's in the way. I'm going to turn on the lower left box, only show the selected track. And now all I see is his face. So I'll start with a click, and that will put a node there. I'll use another click, and I can keep going. We'll pause the video while we outline the young man's face. And when you approach the end of your outline, all you have to do is click on the first node and it will complete the cut. Now if you want to change any of these, you can simply click on any of the nodes and you can delete it by pressing the delete key on your keyboard. I'll do that on this one here, for example. Now when you click on it, you're going to see 2 little white nodes. These are used if you want to create a Bezier curve. Let me show you. We're going to drag this out, and here's my node, and these are the 2 options I have to create a curve in one of 2 directions. So I can create the curve on this node. We'll do Control Z to undo that, since that's not necessary in this particular case. The other thing you can do is after you have the outline done, you can add other nodes onto that particular object. And therefore you can adjust it once it's finished. So I don't want a straight line at the bottom, and you do straight by holding Shift and do the left mouse to get it that way. And we can even curve this one here with a little bit of Bezier right there, and it makes it a little more round. So that's how you use the nodes in order to outline the element. Now you notice I have a red dot here. What's that about? Well, the red dot allows you to keyframe your mask You can only keyframe the position. So if I click up here, I now have my keyframe controls. You notice I don't have the normal ones I see. It just says mask 1. I can have up to 5 masks. But the only thing the keyframe control keyframes is the position of the mask. Now that's necessary because as steady as his head is, we're going to see that it does move. If I move over to a different frame, you notice it's not perfectly right anymore. So I'm going to go down and adjust it, and it will set a keyframe. Or I can move over farther along where his head is not exactly in the same position. And in this case, it looks like it relatively is. I can set a keyframe by clicking the diamond if I want as well. Let's move a little farther over, and we'll probably see some variation. There's another example. And you can simply move it, or you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. Now, one thing I found out, if you use the arrow keys, it won't set a keyframe. You will have to click the diamond on the left side when you have it adjusted precisely where you want it. So this is how you actually begin to move the mask with the slight movement of any object that you've masked. We'll go to the last frame here, and again, we're way off. We're going to move the mask over, adjust it slightly. There's a little forward and backward movement, so we can't be totally precise. We'll just do it on a simple fashion here. Here we have some major change, and we'll adjust that one there. Let's add one more and see if we have any change in this frame. A little bit. I can go a little bit over this way. Obviously, the more keyframes you use, the more precise this is. I'm going to click on OK. Now we're going to have an issue when we watch this. Watch what happens when we play this in our movie. Okay, you see a little bit of movement. It's not too bad, but I really don't like what I see here on the edge where we still don't have the motion perfect. Let me show you how to fix that. We'll stop this. We'll go back to our clip. We'll go back to our mask designer. One way in which you can slightly improve that is you can feather the radius of the mask. So I'm going to take it and take a feather maybe up to maybe an 8, and then I'll click OK. Now it will make his face a little less distinct, but you notice as his head moves it doesn't look quite as bad. We'll play this here, and you see, yeah, there's a little bit of motion, there's a little bit of white that moves around, but it's really not quite so bad with just a little bit of feathering. We'll play it again, and you can see there's some motion. You know it's a live shot, not a still, and that gives me the ability to still make it work out pretty good. You don't want a lot of feather or he will become very, very dim, but to put a little of it in here does improve the quality of using this kind of mask tool in CyberLink PowerDirector.